Welcome to Tuesday, May 26, 2020, although I swear it feels like a Monday after that 3-day weekend. Going forward, folks, summer is evolving. It looks like we're just getting there, folks, with summer starting to kick into gear. Warmer temperatures starting today and lasting all week and into the weekend. We're not going to go into a persistent hot summer pattern, but we're getting into that consistently warmer stretch we've all been waiting for. Now, we're going to have some thunderstorm activity at times in the coming days, which is very typical for this time of year. And it's going to get real warm this weekend into early next week. Then we'll see temperatures pull back, but there'll be some areas this weekend reaching the 90s maybe before the middle to the end of next week cools off a little bit. But we're essentially into summer now. And that was after your typical Memorial Day weekend weather that had a little bit of everything, including snow in the mountains and cool, wet conditions on the plains. This is where we are right now with the upper level pattern. A few things to point out. We've got this upper level low sitting off the California coast. We'll need to watch that. This is a system that came through over Memorial Day weekend. It's going to head into the Midwest and Great Lakes, bringing some showers and thunderstorms there. Then you can see this little ridge, this area arching upward a little bit that's in California that's headed east. As we go forward, this is by Friday afternoon. Here's that upper level low off the California coast beginning to move, but it helps build a high pressure ridge over the Rockies and the high plains. So this is when we start to see that desert air come up in out of Arizona, Mexico, the Four Corners region, and into the Front Range and Eastern Plains. And so we're going to have a real nice warm-up coming our way this weekend. Now, this California low is going to draw a little bit of moisture along with that warmer air into the region. So this is going to lead to a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity across the high plains and Rockies as we go through this week. So warmer, a little bit of late-day thunderstorm activity, and boy, that certainly sounds like an early summer pattern, and that's exactly what we're going to see. This is through Friday afternoon. This is the predicted rainfall. And what you can see is while no one is showing a lot of precipitation, what we definitely see here is a typical pattern that you see in late May and early June where you're going to get afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Wednesday in particular, do expect afternoon and evening thunderstorms in the whole region here. We also expect that as we go into the weekend and early next week, we're going to see not organized rain, but your typical garden variety afternoon shower or thunderstorm. It's the type of pattern where one day you get rained on. Then you go 3 or 4 days, you don't get anything, but the guy down the road gets a little bit of rain. It'll be that hit and miss late day shower and thunderstorm pattern that we see developing over the next several days. At this point in time, there's nothing that we see as being severe, but just be on the lookout for afternoon and evening thunderstorms along with the warmer temperatures. Now, 10 days out, this is by next Friday, June 5th. Interesting pattern setting up. We have a broad trough of low pressure that moves into California and the Pacific Northwest, and the high pressure ridge that's over the Rockies and high plains this weekend does shift east. Now, what this is a pattern where southwest winds continue, so it stays warm. But this area of low pressure up here means that high above the atmosphere, we have colder air high up, colder air aloft, while warmer air closer to the ground. And this type of pattern does lend itself to some activity when it comes to showers and thunderstorms. So we do see a pattern mid to late week where there may be an uptick in thunderstorm activity while the Rockies and the high plains stay warm, say in a early summer temperature regime, while the Pacific Northwest, Central and Northern California, a little bit on the cool side, but warmer in the nation's midsection, including the high plains and Rockies. We just have to expect thunderstorms, which is very typical for early June. Let's see how the temperatures evolve. These are temperatures across the United States relative to average. Blue and green and purple is below average. As you get into the red, oranges, and the grays, you're looking at above average. So this is by Saturday. You can see a pretty big pocket of warm air coming into the Rockies. Now that upper level low keeps California and parts of the Pacific Northwest cool here, but we warm up under the high pressure here by the weekend, and it's a little cooler than normal for the Great Lakes and Midwest. As we go forward, this is Monday. Notice the warmth spreading across the Dakotas, the northern plains, the central and the northern Rockies. So a big push of warm air. Kind of interesting though. Notice we're kind of booked in. The East Coast and the West Coast are a little bit cooler than average. So June starts off certainly warmer here in the Rockies and High Plains, while the rest of the country a little cooler than average. An update on the solar activity. Look at this stretch. 24 straight days of no sunspot activity. That means we're up to 78% of the days so far in 2020 have had no sunspots after a very sunspotless 2019. Now, there is a sensor on the other side of the sun that is picking up a sunspot that is going to rotate around and face the Earth probably in about 2 or 3 days from now. So we probably have a couple more days of no sunspots, and we'll start to see a few. We're still deep in the solar minimum. This continues to be a solar minimum that is stronger than the previous solar minimums, and it's looking like a space age record in terms of a lack of solar activity for the last 110 years or so. Should be interesting going forward into the summer and fall season to see what the solar activity does. Thanks for listening and watching the Day Weather Podcast. Have a good Tuesday. We'll see you on Wednesday.